Hello, everyone. This is MC Deck Discussions, and I'm Abby Small. And today I'd like to do another attempt at building multiple decks, two or maybe three, depends on how much time it's taking. And this time I have Shuri, so I just picked up Shuri yesterday, and so I have a deck that's been kind of buzzing around in my mind. I had a chance to look at Shuri's cards in my hands, and so there was a particular build that was calling out to me. So I'm going to start with that build. And then after that, we'll see where it goes. I have no idea what another build is going to be, but I have a first one in mind. I know that I mentioned that I want to do this live stream, and I still do. Daring Lime has actually graciously agreed to meet with me to share his setup. So please visit him. I love watching his channel, so I think a lot of you will too. Very creative channel, lots of variety on there. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. A lot of you are probably already aware of his channel. It's quite a bit bigger than mine right now. And so, but in case any of you aren't, please go see his channel. I think you'll really enjoy it. All right, so let's get started. So here's what's calling out to me. So when I look at Black Panther Shuri's abilities here, it's the one on the bottom, the alter ego ability, that is really the one that's calling out to me. So it has the Genius and Wakanda traits and has 11 hit points, a hand size of 6, a recovery of 4, which is more than normal, and has the Inventor ability, has this action: exhaust Shuri, search your deck for a Black Panther or tech upgrade and play it, reducing its resource cost by 2, limit once per round. So you do have to exhaust Shuri for this. So that's one thing that a person has to keep in mind. But this is what I want to really build into. So that means I want to be able to go down to alter ego side regularly. So that is one part that could be somewhat challenging. But also I want to take advantage of those tech upgrades and go for a repurpose deck. So I actually don't do a lot of repurpose decks. I know that recently I did a repurpose deck with, what's his name? Who is that? Nick Fury. But normally I don't do a lot of them, and this one is just really calling to me for that. So I'm going to go for that build. So if I'm going to do that, first of all, let's look for those repurpose cards. Okay, so I'm going to grab 3 of those. Sometimes when I do repurpose decks, I'll actually only do a couple of repurpose cards, but for sure I'm going to go for 3 in this one. I expect to have easy access to those upgrades, so I want to be able to use repurpose readily. For those who may not know, repurpose is a 0-cost event card, has the hero action: discard a tech upgrade you control, ready your hero, and choose thwart, attack, or defense. Until the end of the round, your hero gets plus X to the chosen power, where X is equal to that upgrade's printed cost. So that one of the great things about this repurpose deck then is we know that Shuri, if Shuri is going to use her ability in the alter ego side and actually exhaust herself in order to find a tech upgrade, or possibly a Black Panther card, or those could be one and the same because she has 1 or 2 tech upgrades right in her kit, then repurposing something can allow her to go ahead and ready. So that could be highly valuable there. So now that we have repurpose, then let's look for some other tech cards. So first of all, let's look in her kit to begin with, right? So she has these upgrades is what I really want to focus on to begin with. So she has this Aja Adana upgrade, a 1-cost upgrade: exhaust Aja Adana, shuffle 1 identity-specific card from your discard pile into your deck. So that's also going to be very useful in getting those tech upgrades back into your deck, even when you don't have the ability to go to alter ego side. So you can keep getting those back in your deck, keep pulling them out, and then be able to use repurposes when they come into play. A lot of times that actually might be when repurpose can be used in a way that can do the most damage or thwarting, because now Shuri won't have had to have exhausted herself, and you can get more attempts at attacking or thwarting. And then she has her Kimoyo beads, and notice these are Black Panther and tech. So this is one of the tech cards that comes in her deck. an extremely critical one for this build. So remove one threat from a scheme. This is her special. Oh, so let's mention the special real fast. That's going to be important. So this first time with a Black Panther Shuri deck that I'm doing. So it has the Wakanda trait on the hero side, 2 thwart, only 1 attack, and 2 defense, 11 hit points again, and hand size of 5 on this side, and has this response. After Black Panther uses a basic power, so either the thwart, attack, or defense, resolve the special ability on 1 Black Panther upgrade you control. So when she, attacks or thwarts, her Kimoyo beads, she could remove 1 threat from this in addition to, whatever else she did from her attack or thwart or defense. And you can discard this card to confuse an enemy. So the plan would be in this build that we're probably going to use this card, discard this card semi-regularly, at least when the opportunities seem to arise for it, in order to confuse the villain, in order to go down to the alter ego side. At least in this case, this is my plan is for a solo deck. If you're using it multiplayer, you wouldn't have to do that so often. All right, so that's going to be a critical card in order to confuse the enemy. Though I do plan on putting Professor X in here because I want to get other opportunities too, so that I don't have to always discard this card. And then we also have Panther Claws, a Black Panther card and weapon. And then we have Spider Bites. So there's the second one. So a Black Panther upgrade with the tech trait. Choose a player, deal 1 damage to the villain, and each minion engaged with that player. You may discard this card to stun each of those enemies. So for the most part, both of these tech cards, I would like to be able to discard them naturally this way and prefer not to use repurpose on it, but they are available for that purpose. And like we mentioned before with Aja Adana, we can, if we have this upgrade in play, we can shuffle one of those upgrades, any of the identity specific cards, back into the deck and know that it's going to be coming back. And especially it's coming back, of course, if we go to alter ego side and be able to use Shuri's ability. And then in addition to that, we have the vibranium suit. So, but this one's not a tech. So I want to focus in on those tech cards. And then I want to add to that so that we can hopefully be discarding other cards than these with the repurpose ability. So let's go ahead and look that up. So I'm going to look for tech traits. So K does traits and then colon, and then you just type in tech. And right now we're on basic, so it's showing the basic ones. So we can't use booster boots, but plasma pistol, is a possibility, though it's not one I'm planning on. But I want to keep it in mind because it might be that we're going to add some extra cards for resources, but probably not. Actually, let's grab the basic doubles right now. So let me get rid of that tech for a sec. I'll just cut it. Okay, so let's get the double energy, double genius, and double strength card. The double resource cards, excuse me. So energy, genius, and strength in there right now. And she already comes with her 2 vibraniums, which are double resource cards that are where the resource is wild. All right. So I probably won't add more resource cards to that. I mean, that's a really nice set of resource cards to begin with. All right, now let's paste this back in. All right. So let's go back to, I want tech cards, upgrades, and let's switch over to protection. So it turns out that some protection cards came. So I bought both Black Panther and Silk. And Silk, I believe, is the one who came with some more protection cards. So I'm just going to start with 1 copy of Electrostatic Armor, which is really nice. It's a nice, cheap 1-cost tech upgrade that you can put in. So you play it under any player's control, max 1 per player. After you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. But it makes a really cheap card to be made available for repurpose. So I'm going to throw that in. The energy barriers would probably be my go-to ones. They cost 2. Another good card that for Shuri to get into play immediately. So I'm actually going to throw 3 of those in there initially. Energy Shield is one of the cards that comes with Silk, and it's a 0-cost tech, so super easy to get out there. It won't be able to enhance Shuri's attack or thwart with it, right? Because when you discard the tech upgrade, you ready your hero, And then until the end of the round, you get plus X to the chosen power, where X is equal to that upgrade's printed cost. And this has no printed cost, but for a zero cost card upgrade to be out there and then use Repurpose, you're able to ready Shuri very easily for very low cost. So I'm going to include one of those energy shields. The force field generator, right, is a 3-cost tech. But with Shuri's ability, she could get this into play for just 1, right? So if we look at her alter ego ability again, right? Search your deck for a Black Panther or tech upgrade and play it, reducing its resource cost by 2. So then this one only costs 1. I'm going to stick one of those in here. And then one more is Stun Gun. Now, this is a whole bunch of these tech upgrades, so it might be too many. I'm trying to do basically the minimum of these, but I could definitely see removing some of them. Like, this is more than you typically need for a repurpose deck, but this deck has the possibility of using repurpose in a fuller way, I think, than any other deck that I've built. So this one has the hero, it's a tech and a weapon. It is restricted, right? So that's something to keep in mind. It is restricted, and she already has in her own kit, one of her upgrades is restricted. Let's see, which one is that? Is it the claws? Oh, actually, that's not restricted, is it? Let me click on that. Oh, yeah, it doesn't say it's restricted. Okay. So, and so unless they messed up and didn't put the restriction on there, I guess that one's not restricted. So I don't have to worry about that. So that's pretty nice. But I'm going to put one copy of Stun Gun in here. So it has 2 uses. It's restricted, has 2 uses. Exhaust Stun Gun and remove 1 or 2 charge counters from it. If you remove 1 charge counter, you stun a minion. 2 charge counters, you stun the villain. So I might use it for one of those if I have multiple, tech out there. So that's one of the hopes, is at least initially here at the beginning of this build, is to have a lot of tech available so that I could possibly use this to stun the villain. But I might use it to stun a minion and then have it available for repurposing. Or just have it available for repurposing in the first place. All right, so for now, that's a pretty large selection of tech upgrades. We'll see if we remove any of those, right? Because that already makes 29 cards, leaving us with 11 left. All right, so let's look at what else we might include. Okay, so the hope is to ready. So if we put in X, that stands for text, and then I'm going to put ready here. And some cards that are built to ready are Indomitable. So if your hero defends, discard Indomitable, ready your hero. And Shuri does have some reasons to defend, right? Because those can also trigger. So I like the idea of including maybe a couple of these, though it's getting pretty iffy about that. But let's just stick 2 in to begin with. And then the other one is ready for a fight. Yes, that's the one. Now that does have a physical resource cost that you must use in order to play this card, but there's an additional cost to it too. So it has this interrupt. So first of all, it's a 1 cost upgrade. Oh, that's not the one. I'm sorry. Yes, that is not the one. I meant to be in the events. All right. Yes. So I was thinking about what doesn't kill me, right? So this one's heal 2 damage from your hero, ready your hero. So there are some issues with that. You do have to, and it does cost a physical resource in order to play this card, and it's a 2-cost event. You have to be able to, because there's a cost arrow there, you have to be able to heal 2 damage from your hero to ready your hero. So that does make this one a little bit iffy to use, because she has lots of healing, because Queen Ramonda is in her deck. If she has that in play, it only costs 1. And Shuri has a, as we mentioned before, a 4 recovery. And Queen Ramonda has this alter ego action, exhaust Queen Ramonda, heal damage from your alter ego with a Wakanda trait equal to that alter ego's recovery. However, there is a reason why one might not want to use this every time for recovery, and that is because there's also the elephant's trunk. So this has an alter ego action, exhaust the elephant's trunk and up to 2 other Wakanda allies and or supports you control. Draw 1 card for each card exhausted this way. Well, this card itself, right? So you're including this card. So this card itself would allow you to draw a card, because it's a Wakanda support, and Queen Ramonda is also a Wakanda support. So that allows you to draw 2 cards. So you could allow Shuri to keep some of her damage in order to be able to play these What Doesn't Kill Me cards. So I'm really liking the idea of including What Doesn't Kill Me. So initially here, I am going to throw all 3 copies of that in here. All right, so there are other ways to do it too on the defensive end. I'm going to try to avoid that for now. And let's go ahead and see what else we can include. All right, I'd like to have a support that's also a resource generator. So let's get rid of this. Let's go to the supports, and I'm going to go to the basics. And let's go ahead and include, well, what I was initially thinking of including actually is Helicarrier. So let's take a look at that. Where's Helicarrier? There it is. So is Helicarrier, it's a faux resource generator. So max 1 per player, it's 3 cost, has this action, exhaust Helicarrier, choose a player, reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays this phase by 1. So it's not a resource generator, but it very much acts like one. But I am actually worried about the What Doesn't Kill Me needing the physical resource. So I'm going to build into this deck, I think, a cheat to make that happen. So instead of Helicarrier, I'm actually going to go with, what is it called? Quincarrier. All right. Now there's a problem with Quincarrier, so let's look at what that problem is. Okay, so first of all, it's a 3-cost support. It's an Avenger and Vehicle trait, and it's play only if your identity has the Avenger trait. So you can't play this card, but we do have a way to cheat that in with a really nice player side scheme. So I'm actually going to include this card. So hopefully we can avoid having to include Quincarrier in the future, but What Doesn't Kill Me, I want to have that available for sure for that. And so that means we're going to go over to the side schemes then, and we're going to put build support in there, which I do like anyway, but we would have to prioritize it in this deck that it's specifically, when I'm playing this particular deck, it's meant to be used for Quincarrier. In other decks, I could use it to get in either of these 2 cards. But in this deck, I'm going to want it to get Quincarrier in if I decide to keep those What Doesn't Kill Me's. All right, in addition to that, I actually really do want Superpower Training. So Superpower Training, each player may search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. And she has some great choices for that. Her upgrades here. Now, she does discard them, so that does make Superpower Training a little less valuable. She can already get them into play with her own ability. So maybe not. What's her ability again exactly? For a Black Panther or tech upgrade. So she can grab any of her cards, her Black Panther cards, or a tech upgrade. So I think I will leave that out to make room in the deck for other things. I am interested in this specialized training. So if we're already going to enhance our attack or thwarting with Repurpose, then specialized training can possibly make that further, right? It does have 5 threat that you have to get off to make it work, but she should be able to make that happen pretty well, right? She has 2 thwart herself, and if she is doing a thwart and then uses the ability on Kimoyo beads, right? Remove 1 threat from a scheme, and it uses that initially for a setup piece and doesn't necessarily discard it to confuse an enemy, then that might actually work. All right, so let's look at another possibility here. Oh yeah, looking at this again, right, she has the Genius trait. So let's go over to the upgrades and let's see, is it Genius that would be the trait? No, so in the description. So in the text description, right, so Genius, there we go. So looking to get Ingenuity in here. And actually, let's look at the allies. So I'm going to include Moon Girl. I probably won't include Moon Girl in either, I don't know if there's going to be 2 or 3 builds, but in every build, because I know a lot of people won't have Moon Girl, right? So that's from a long time ago with Nova. But I'm going to include her in this deck, get some card draw in it. And that already puts us at 39 cards. So for sure, we're going to be reducing this deck because I'm going to want to include more allies than this. So let's start looking at putting some allies in, but let me make sure there's nothing else that, actually, yes. So if I'm going with a tech, one that's focused on tech, there is one other card that I really would like to include, and that's Leo Fitz, right? So this Leo can really help with this as well, right? So Leo Fitz is 3 cost, support, persona, and shield. Unfortunately, we can't reduce the cost to play Leo Fitz, right? So you reduce the cost if your identity has the shield trait, so that's not true of Shuri. But has this alter ego action, exhaust Leo Fitz, search your deck for a tech upgrade and add it to your hand. And so because we want to be able to get multiple tech upgrades out and not always use her own built-in tech upgrades from her kit, I'd like to include that. All right, so there, just like that, we already have 40 cards. So we're definitely going to cut this down some. But let's go ahead and think about the rest of the allies, and then we'll figure out what to cut out. Okay, now with her cards, she actually came with a number of, so let's go with the traits here. She came with a number of Wakanda allies, right? So we have Aneka, so I'm going to put her in. Atlas Bear did not come with hers. Let's check her out. I didn't get a chance to check her out recently, so let's see what it says. Exhaust Atlas Bear. Look at the top card of a player deck. If that card is an event, you may deal 1 damage to Atlas Bear to add that card to its owner's hand. And yeah, so there are 11 events, including 3 of those repurposes, the What Doesn't Kill Me's. So, but she also has, her own cards that help to trigger her, right? So her Clawed Strike and the On the Prowl cards and the Wakanda Forever, that all help to trigger her special ability. So on her upgrades. So I'm actually really liking that. And we're going to also include Ayo. Forgive me on the pronunciations here. I'm making my best guesses. So this one, so all of these are Dora Milaje and Wakanda, except for Atlas Bear. But Aneka, Ayo, and Okoye are all Dora Milaje and Wakanda, and they all have special traits to them that can be triggered by each other. So when one of them uses a basic power, they can resolve the special ability on another one of them. So I kind of like that combination possibility. So let's go ahead and include all 4 of those. Right now that puts us up to 44 cards. I am okay with having extra cards, but I still want to keep it relatively low, relatively close to 40. So we're going to try to keep it, kind of close. We have 7 allies now, which is a number that I like. And most decks, I like to include Nick Fury. I am going to try to have decks more often that don't include Nick Fury, just to put more, thematic decks more often. I'm not sure if in this deck, I really like that idea of the extra card draw, so I am going to go ahead and put Nick Fury in here. And then the other deck, I probably won't put Nick Fury in. I might put New Moon Girl in, no matter what. It's not as if it's going to be a recursion deck here. So I think it's not like taking a huge advantage of having her in. Okay, so that's 45 cards. So let's look at the possibility of pairing some of these away. Okay, so first, I think I'll go ahead and get rid of Electrostatic Armor. I'm not planning on doing a lot of defending here, so we'll get rid of that. We do have 2 of these Indomitables. After your hero defends, discard Indomitable, ready your hero. I do want to be able to do that, but that is a possibility to reduce it down to just 1, though I always do prefer to include 2 of those when I include 1. Let's see, what are we at right now? 44 cards. Let's get this down to at least 43, maybe 42. So let's see what else might be good. Okay, I think I'm going to go with removing the stun gun. And this still right? There's 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, these 2 aren't techs. 3, 4, 5 tech upgrades, along with her own 2 built-in tech upgrades. So that's a lot of upgrades available. And in her alter ego form, she has the ability to just grab one anytime she wants. So we should be able to constantly keep those available. So I'm going to go with 43 cards in here for now. We'll see what happens when I actually choose a deck to build. I'll likely build this deck, and it could, when I do some playtesting, I might refine it further. But for now, I'm really liking what I have here, so I'm going to leave it at that. So let's go ahead and save this one. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and clone this one. And then, so this gives us something to start with, but of course, I'm going to want to pair out a bunch of things in it right away. And I want to go ahead and think of a build. So one of the builds that's occurring to me right off the bat here, actually, is to go with like kind of a perfect defense build, but maybe a combination with something else. So that means I already like Indomitable staying in here. And gosh, actually, a lot of these cards are still really good for that. But in any case, I want to be able to defend. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with that. All right, so first of all, one of the main reasons why one would want to do this is to get some card draw. So let's go ahead and get that card right away, and then I want to remove some cards because I don't want to start off with a whole bunch of them just to begin with. But let's go to our protection upgrades, and let's find the cards that can allow us to draw some cards. Actually, let's just look for draw. So draw. All right, so we have Unflappable, so that's for sure the card that I was looking for. After you defend against an attack and take no damage, exhaust Unflappable, draw a card. And what I really like about this is, you know, with her focusing on defending a lot, she has the ability, so when she uses a basic power that includes the defense, she can still trigger her special abilities. So that makes that pretty cool. And now I haven't yet built a deck that has Change of Fortune. After you defeat an enemy during the villain phase, exhaust this card and draw 2 cards. So she has the ability to do some damage on defense. Let's see, which one of her cards is that? Panther Claws? So if she uses her special ability, she can deal 2 damage to an enemy. So that's already pretty good, right? But you can then discard this card, deal 3 additional damage to that. So that's 5 damage. And you gain piercing. So that can defeat a lot of minions. So that seems pretty ideal for this, right? So you play under any player's control, max 1 per player. After you defeat an enemy during the villain phase, exhaust this card, draw 2 cards. So you only need one of these out and it can stay out permanently. So this might be the first deck that I use Change of Fortune in. All right, so let's go ahead and start pairing out some cards now, though. All right, so this isn't meant to be a repurposed deck, but I do see a reason why maybe keeping 1 in here, that it happens at the right time. And then what doesn't kill me, still readying is a good idea. So even after your turn, but I'll decrease that down to 2 of these for now. All right, so that already looks pretty interesting. So we're gonna want other ways to deal damage though. So we definitely need to pare this down further. Now the thing is, if we have Unflappable here, right, then that means we don't want to take damage, but the other one, we don't care about damage, we want to deal damage, right? So when we're using Change of Fortune, we care more about dealing damage, so we're okay with taking damage. And the thing is, she has the ability to recover quite a bit. So maybe I'll include Unflappable, but not with a focus on not taking damage all the time. So let's pair out some of the things that prevent that damage. So let's go with, let's reduce the energy barriers down to 2 right off the bat. Let's see, energy shield. I kind of like that still. Force field generator. Let's get rid of force field generator. Okay. All right, that brings us down to exactly 40 cards. And then we'll see what else to bring out in a little bit. But let's go ahead. So it has to be that after you defeat an enemy during the villain phase, exhaust this card, draw 2 cards. So if you're going to be able to do that, right, you're not going to have these characters defending, which means you shouldn't necessarily need as many allies. So let's go ahead and do what I mentioned before. I said I wanted to kind of reduce this a bit, so maybe I'll remove Nick Fury. Okay, all right. And then let's go ahead and look at some damage events here. All right, so, actually, there are upgrades that do damage too, right? So let's be a little more thorough. So let's look at the text, look at damage. And, there are a whole bunch of these that deal damage. So let's see what might be a good choice. All right, so one possibility is electrostatic armor. Some of these that are about damage are about, preventing damage instead. So after you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to the attacking character. So you just play under any player's control, max 1 per player. So you would just regularly have this available, okay? All right, so other ones that deal damage. So energy barrier is still nice for that, right? So, it has this interrupt when you would take any amount of damage, remove 1 reflection counter from here. It has 3 of them to begin with, prevent 1 of that damage and deal 1 damage to an enemy. So that's actually still really nice. So I'll continue to keep those in here. All right, let's see what else we have. Okay, here's the other one I was thinking of as a possibility is under control, right? So You attach it to a minion. It's a 0 cost upgrade. And you attach it to a minion, max 1 per minion. After hero defends against attached minion's attack and takes no damage, which would be pretty easy for her, deal 4 damage to the attached minion. So that's actually what I was looking at. So what I was looking for. So we'll include a couple of copies of Under Control, right? That brings it back up to 42, which I don't mind. All right. So that's very interesting. What's interesting to me is how many cards it still includes that we had before. So let's see. What else we might want to do? We still have quite a bit of text. So Leo Fitz still holds some value, but he is pretty expensive. So actually, here's what I'm thinking. Let's remove the What Doesn't Kill Me, actually. Okay, I'm going to remove both of those. And then that would allow us to remove Quinn Carrier and put in instead Helicarrier. Okay. And we do already have Ingenuity here, right? That's a resource generator. So now we have Helicarrier. So we have an extra, like this time a faux resource generator. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. I am wondering about getting rid of this Repurpose and adding an ally back. That was Nick Fury that I removed. Actually, I think let's remove Moon Girl instead. I'm going to put Nick Fury back. All right. Plus, Nick Fury is part of this wave, so it still makes sense to include him here. So that's not too bad, actually. So let's see if this kind of finishes it up. Okay, I kind of like this, and I actually like decks that here and there have one-off cards. Most of the time, I like to have 2 of a card a lot of times to make sure I really get that card. But there are times when I like having a card where it's just, hey, I happen upon that card, and it's just the right time and to use it. So that's also okay. So I don't mind this one-off on the Repurpose. So let's go with this for the second deck, and then I'll think about whether I'm going to do a third deck here, because we're already at about 32 minutes. Okay, I do want to do a third deck, but I have the idea for it in mind, and I want a deck that heals allies and keeps them in play. So let's go ahead and look at that, because the ally I'm thinking about is T'Challa. So T'Challa has the Genius and Wakanda traits, is a 4-cost ally, has 2 attack and 2 thwart, 3 health, and has this hero response. After T'Challa uses a basic power, resolve the special ability on 1 Black Panther upgrade. So now you're resolving the special ability on 2 of them each turn that you use T'Challa's ability and also Shuri's ability, one of her abilities. So let's go ahead and get some healing in here. All right, and then we'll remove some other cards. But right off the bat, is it actually called healing? Heal. Let's go to the supports. Okay. All right. So what I'm thinking of is med team. So, and the nice thing is, right, we've got what, 2, 3, 4, 5 double resource generators. So those all help with getting med team into play. So med team is a 3-cost support, has 3 uses. Exhaust med team and remove 1 metal counter from it. Heal 2 damage from a friendly character. So I'd like to include 2 copies of that, possibly 3, but for now, let's just make it 2. Let's go ahead and remove the Repurpose. Let's go ahead and, well, who knows? Maybe this will keep in some of the unflappable stuff. Yes. So let's remove, let's remove this stuff that does damage this way. So let's remove the Change of Fortune here. All right. And then those would be the Under Control cards as well. All right. So this leaves us some room for some other things to do. Oh, you know what card I forgot all about? So let's do the Wakanda trait again. And go to upgrade. Oh, it has to be basic. That's what it is. Here it is. So the Dora Milaje, and so I might want to look back at those other decks again, or, you know, well, I will anyway. I won't necessarily keep any of these decks the same when I actually have my own deck that I utilize. So these are all ideas to just start with. But this is a Wakanda support. You ignore this card's resource cost if your identity has the Wakanda trait. So I might want to include this in every one of the decks. And it has this action: exhaust Dora Milaje, resolve this special ability on 1 Dora Milaje ally, and heal 1 damage from that ally. So that's a great card. It really should have been included in all the decks. So, when I go to actually utilize these decks or a deck and figure out what I want to do with it, that'll be a card that I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to put in all of them since we included, all 3 of the Dora Milaje allies. Okay, so in addition to that, so Unflappable is based on after you defend against an attack and take no damage, exhaust Unflappable and draw a card. So if I'm going to want to keep these allies out, I want to be able to have her defend for herself. So let's include some defense cards then. So let's get to the events, protection, and these should be defense traded. Well, they'll also be in the description, so I'll just put it like this, right? So let's go to the defense cards, and let's see some defense cards that we might want to include. All right, so one of my favorites actually is Defiance. 0 cost card, has a hero interrupt, and it's a defense card. When a boost card on an enemy attacking you would be turned face up, discarded instead, and then you know exactly what you're dealing with the villain. So I'm going to start by including some defense cards. Let's go with 2 of those. And then I really like Desperate Defense as well, right? Get +2 defense. When your hero interrupt, when your hero defends against an attack, it gets +2 defense for that attack. If you take no damage, ready your hero. So I like that idea in this deck as well. And then are there any others that I'd like to include? Yeah, probably something where she doesn't have to defend as well. So for example, Jump Flip is a good one for that. Has a hero interrupt, the defense, when you would take any amount of damage, prevent 2 of that damage. If you pay for this card using an energy resource, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. So the energy resource thing is problematic because, yeah. So actually, I think instead of Jump Flip, I'll go for that other one that just defends. What is that one called? I'm sorry, that just prevents more damage, and that's the Sidestep. So it has the hero action, 1 cost card. When you would take any amount of damage, prevent 3 of that damage. If you paid for this card using an energy resource, deal 1 damage to that enemy. Well, maybe I'll just include that in here. So actually, so I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a sec. A lot of you might be thinking of this already. So let's include, say, a couple of Sidesteps and a couple of Jump Flips. And then if we go to the upgrades here, and we have Nerves of Steel. Is that the one? Yes. So Nerves of Steel, resource. It's a resource generator. Play under any player's control. Max 1 per player. It costs 2. Exhaust Nerves of Steel. Generate an energy resource for a defense event. So include one of those. And then that means that we could, we don't have a lot of defense events, right? That would cost, because Desperate Defense does cost 1. Oh, that's actually 6 of them. So that's pretty good. So let's see now about paring that down, because now we're all the way up to 48 cards. So we're going to start getting rid of some of these over here. So Electrostatic Armor does not help with defense. So I'm going to get rid of that. Energy Barrier does help prevent damage. So does this one. And you spend an energy resource. Wait, I think that's just for events though. Nerves of Steel, generate a wild for a defense event. So it won't help with that. So actually I'm going to get rid of Energy Shield. Okay. All right. And then the Indomitables, I still like those for getting ready, but I did include some things that make it so we don't necessarily have to. And we are at 46 cards. I like having 7 allies. So I still like that. Right. And we're still getting, so Leo Fitz might not be as necessary here. Let's get rid of Leo Fitz. So that's a good one, I think. All right. Okay, so now let's see what else. 45 is still more cards than I want. Okay, so I think actually I'm going to get rid of the energy barriers here. Even though she does have the ability, let's get rid of 1. She does have the ability to get that card herself, right? Because of her own ability. But I want her to be able to, in this deck, focus on getting her own upgrades back rather than on necessarily getting these upgrades back. But I like the idea of her defending for herself with Indomitable. So, right, because she does have, 2 defense, so a decent defense. So she can defend for herself that way. So yeah, let's narrow it down some more with the energy barrier. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so there are 3 decks. Let's go ahead and save this one as well. So this would be our second clone, I guess. Okay. And so we'll save that one. All right. Okay. I think that's it, right? Let me double check. Okay, yeah, that's it. I did realize that I actually forgot to save the second deck. So I might go back and watch the video later and recreate that second deck and change it back to that one. I was wondering why I didn't see a clone twice already. So because I never saved that second one. You did get to see it built, but I might go back. So you'll see at least 2 links in the description, this one and the original one we built, and you might see 3 links if I decide to watch the video and go back and recreate the second deck and put it in there. I'll probably do that, but we'll see. In any case, please like and subscribe if you appreciate this kind of content, and also comment. And I love seeing comments and be able to respond to them. And have a great one, everybody.